I don't hear anything now. Okay. Okay, 20 seconds, guys. Okay. Hello, Facebook. You are watching The Road Ahead, a CBC Calgary Facebook Live special, live from the Ship and Anchor Pub on 17th Avenue, the heart of the Red Mile. I'm Aaron Collins, a reporter here with CBC Calgary, and tonight we're going to be starting a conversation about what comes next for our city, economically, politically, culturally. And we're going to be doing that in a number of ways from a number of places around the city. We've got reporters moving around the city. We have a reporter on a C train. We have a reporter at the top of the Calgary Tower. We have a reporter in a park somewhere. I'm not really sure why. And of course, I'm here at the Ship and Anchor Pub. Why did we choose the Ship and Anchor Pub? Well, we chose the Ship and Anchor Pub because over the course of the 30 years that the Ship has been open, it's been a stable place. It's been a place where people from all communities across Calgary have come to have the kind of conversation that we're going to have tonight. And meanwhile, all around this pub, everything has changed. There's been booms, there's been busts, there's been booms again. So we're going to be trying something a little bit different tonight. We're not going to be in a studio. We're going to be having this conversation where everyone has conversations in a pub. But that's not the only thing we're going to be doing differently. We're also going to be doing this, if you're watching, you already know, on Facebook. We're going to be watching on Facebook Live, and that's the way you're going to be able to watch us. And on top of that, everything that you see tonight is going to have been shot on an iPhone. In fact, I'm being shot on an iPhone right now. So you have to remember that what we're doing tonight is as much a grand experiment as it is anything else. So bear with us. Technology willing, we're going to, by the end of the night, have had a good conversation about what's coming for the city of Calgary, what is coming for the people in the city of Calgary. Essentially, a conversation about what the road ahead looks like from here. So I mentioned that we have people all around this city, and I want to give you a little look at those people right now. Other than just myself at the Ship and Anchor, we have Angela Knight, the Calgary Eye Openers, Angela Knight, moving to the pub right now on a C train. We also have Kyle Bax at the top of the Calgary Tower. He's a business reporter for the CBC's National Business Network. He's going to be talking about all things business from the city of Calgary. And of course, we have investigative reporter Kyle Bax. Brian Lavey, in a park somewhere. He's our park reporter, I guess, as well as our political reporter. We'll be hearing from all of those reporters throughout the evening, as well as myself and some great guests we have right here in the Ship and Anchor Pub. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is not your average kind of broadcast. We're walking through the Ship and Anchor Pub right now. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if the technology is going to fail us. We are shooting this on an iPhone as we speak, but we do know that we're going to be talking to amazing Calgarians, including George Brookman, one of the most preeminent Calgarians in the city, and a fella who says that he has never been to the Ship and Anchor Pub. There's George. Hey, George, how's it going?
Well, it would be better if I had any darts.
Yeah, well, no darts. I thought we were going to be playing darts, George.
I do, but Emily's got the darts.
Look, the darts are in the board, George.
Oh my God, the darts are in the board. How could you?
We got darts right here. Now, George, there's two things that I've learned about you tonight, other than being a great businessman and a great Calgarian, which everybody knows. first thing is you've never
Never been to the Ship and Anchor before. Not once.
Not once, which is astounding.
I know. Bernard Graham said, you call yourself a Calgarian and you've never been to the Ship and Anchor. And secondly, I've never thrown darts.
So you've never thrown a dart, you've never been to the Ship
Have
and
you
Anchor.
ever thrown a dart?
Well, once or twice, but not well.
Not what? Do you want to throw one?
Okay, let's throw one.
You throw one and I'll throw one.
Well, let's see who gets closer.
who's best.
And while we throw these darts, maybe we'll ask a few questions. Yeah. So
First throw a dart.
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's see. Bullseye, I'd say on the first one.
Good luck with that.
Oh,
That's not
so
a bullseye. That's
looks
a
like I got
miss.
a 6.
Okay, let me try.
All right. Here we go,
Oh.
George.
I might shock you. I might hit in the rope though. I did.
You did hit the rope. But how come you got 2
that?
shots? You
Well,
beat me.
because I'm the guest.
All right, you're the guest. You're the guest. It's your first time with the Ship and Anchor. How are you liking it so far?
Well, I just can't believe it's here. I feel like I'm in Newfoundland. It's fantastic.
Well, I want to talk to you about what else is fantastic about Calgary. You are known as Mr. Calgary. What's your favorite part about this city? I mean, you're one of our biggest boosters.
Well,
Hit me with the best spot.
My very favorite part of Calgary is the Princess Island. I have to say that. And now the new St. George's Island, first of all, it's called St. George's Island. But I just think we did a beautiful job of those islands. And people congregate there. And that's what we need, is lots of community gathering places. And that's a wonderful place in Calgary. So I love that. Now, if you ask me what I love about Calgary, I love the energy, the attitude, the
Right.
positiveness, the get it done attitude that we've always had since I was a little boy. That was the way Calgary was. It was make it happen. And somehow I'm worried that we're kind of losing some of that. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so we are talking tonight about what comes next for Calgary.
Yes.
You've been here a long time.
Yes.
If you could see, that's what you like about Calgary, if you could see something happen, something improve in this city over the next little while, what would it be?
Well, I have to tell you, honestly, that I want us to go for the Olympic bid in a big way. I think the Olympics took us out of the '83 recession. I want to see the new Flames Saddle Dome or
new arena.
event center. I want that built.
Who's going to pay for it, George?
All of us. Because you know what? All of us are going to benefit from it. All of us are going to enjoy it. And we all need to get in. That's how things happen in this country. You want to build the Trans-Canada Highway? The public pays for it. You want to get the St. Lawrence Seaway built? We have to make these big projects happen. It takes private money, it takes corporate money, and it takes public money. And we got to get over this and just do it.
All right, so let's say you had a magic wand and you could just wave it, and one thing would appear in Calgary.
Yes.
Aside from
$100
$100 oil price, and aside from that new arena, what would you do? It could be a policy, it could be anything. What would you do to change Calgary just like that?
You know, I wish we'd spend more money on maintaining our parks. Now, that sounds like a silly thing to say, but we have wonderful parks. But, you know, you drive in the spring, summer, our parks are covered with dandelions. We got weeds. We're all worried about, I don't know, 2,4-D, I guess, but we're all worried about those little nickels and dimes. And people take pride in a community that takes pride in itself. And we have to take more pride in our community, in my opinion.
George Brookman wants everyone to look after their lawns better.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Now, George, I'm gonna hope that you can stick around and talk with us a little later. Can you meet us back at our table?
Absolutely.
All right. Drinks are on me when we get back there. Don't
Okay.
hold me to it.
Thank you very
As long
much.
as we don't buy that arena.
What a
Okay.
privilege to do this.
We'll talk to you soon. Okay. Now, George was talking about some of the things he wanted. Obviously, the city's changing, and the way people get around Calgary has been changing in recent years. I mean, this is a car city. It's always been a car city. But I kind of wanted to test that because we've been seeing different kinds of transit and different kinds of transportation pop up around Calgary. We've got the Green Line conversation happening all the time. We got the cycle track, of course. So when the snow was still out a few weeks ago, I took to my bike and I headed out and I asked Calgarians a simple question. Are we a truck city or are we a transit city? How people get around a community says a lot about that community. So I thought, what better way to get a sense of what Calgary's all about these days than to take a cruise around the bike paths in the middle of a snowstorm and ask people whether or not Calgary's more of a truck city or a transit city. Hey there, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
What's your name?
I'm Lisa.
Lisa?
Yes.
Lisa, so nice truck.
Oh, I know.
Quick question for you.
Go ahead.
And I think I know how you might feel, but is
Okay.
Calgary a truck city or a transit city?
For me, it's a truck city.
Why is that?
I mean, with all the mountains we have here, all the roads, all the hills, All the traffic. I mean, it's easier in the truck, you know? It's just much easier to get along with the truck.
Now here's the other question.
Okay.
Should Calgary be a truck city or a transit
Yes.
city? Which one?
Truck.
Truck all the
Truck.
way?
I'm just a truck girl. I love trucks.
I think Calgary is more of a truck city. I mean, the transit's pretty popular here, and it's getting better every day. But I think overall, still, people are much more inclined to take their own vehicles, especially on the outskirts of the city. I think we're moving more towards like the single car vehicles or the ride sharing with the Car2Go and Uber and things like that. And maybe even a small amount moving towards more of a bike city with the new bike trails.
So, you're waiting for the train. Here's my question. Is Calgary more of a truck city or a transit city?
I'm never on the highway, so I'm going to have to say transit.
It's a transit city?
Yeah.
Okay. You're the first one, so do you think that's going to grow? Do you think it's going to be more of a transit city moving forward?
Well, from what I remember, there's still planning on making more lines going out to the different suburbs. So I think in the future, it'll start growing more and more into a transit city.
So you're riding your bike. It is snowing. I have one quick question for you. Is Calgary more of a truck city or a transit city?
It's definitely more of a truck city.
Now, what do you think about that?
I think the way the city is designed right now, with such the vast urban sprawl, that a lot of people would prefer to commute by truck or their own vehicle. But I do think the city has been making good steps towards allowing people the option to take transit to the core.
So it's a truck city right now. Will it be a transit city in the future?
I think it's slowly moving in that direction right now, yes.
So I guess Calgary continues. I guess Calgary does continue to be a truck city, but we still do want to work on transit and want to work on a lot of different ways of going around. You should be looking at right now some amazing drone footage shot by cinematographer Ed Middleton, who was here in town over the last couple weeks. And you don't often get to see our city in quite such a spectacular way, so enjoy those. But right now we want to take our first visit with Angela Knight, who should be, we hope, making her way with an iPhone down a C-train line. What could go wrong? Angela, are you there?
Hi, Aaron. We're here. We are on a C-train, actually. We just left from the Crowfoot station, and now we have to jump off because we're about to go into a tunnel. So we have to step off the train for a moment. But we're doing this live tonight on Facebook. And why on a C-train? Why not? It's something new. We wanted to try it. We wanted to see if we could broadcast live. And it was kind of cool. You were talking to people about truck or transit. Andrew Fedor is with the city of Calgary, and he is looking at all those kinds of things in the future. You have a totally cool job with the city. And one of the things people are excited about, autonomous vehicles. Where's Calgary at with that? And where do we sit as far as responsibility goes with autonomous vehicles?
So at the City of Calgary, we've been working with a bunch of different stakeholders. We've been in talks with the federal government, provincial government about what our roles are when it comes to autonomous vehicle technology. As for the city directly, there's going to be autonomous vehicles probably coming in 5 to 10 years, and our role with them is partially going to be how to deal with the technology when it comes. You have the federal government who's responsible for the importation of the vehicles, and you have the provincial government who will allow them on the roads. But then for the city, we can have to deal with all these interesting problems that arise from autonomous vehicle technology. So one thing that we were talking about earlier was the autonomous vehicle's ability to come into the downtown, drop someone off, and then head away with avoiding the parking charge. So one of the largest deterrents for driving into the downtown right now, which has caused our 50% transit modal share in the downtown, is our higher parking fees.
Right.
And so this serves as a really good transportation demand management tool. But we have to think, okay, what happens when that is taken away, when people can take their autonomous vehicle into the downtown and then have it drive off without paying that parking charge.
And it could also create gate congestion in places we hadn't thought about, right? Because cars are coming in and out at the same time.
Yeah, and it really depends what the vehicle does after. So if the vehicle drops a person off, then heads back to that person's home, that basically doubles the amount of driving on the network. Now, if that vehicle picks someone up, drops them off, and then picks someone else up, now you have a really, really interesting scenario. And so one of the really interesting things with autonomous vehicles is the change in the ownership model that's going to likely occur. So you have companies, major auto companies like Ford, coming out and saying that by 2021, they're going to have hail-a-ride fleets. And so what this means is Ford will own a fleet, and then you will call it up from your smartphone, or this is what they envision. It would pick you up, drop you off, and then go pick someone else up. So this is similar to what we have nowadays with something like Netflix. So instead of purchasing all these videos, you just go to a service to order it. And so in transportation, we call this transition mobility as a service.
So would I even need a driver's license in the future then, if a car is just going to come and pick me up and drop me off?
Yeah, so that's one of the really interesting questions that's going to rise. That's largely provincial responsibility. But another interesting component of that is who can be in an autonomous vehicle with or without a driver's license. So could you send your 8-year-old kid to the soccer game in an autonomous vehicle? Could you put someone who's a senior and doesn't have a driver's license in that vehicle? So it's really interesting. We haven't figured everything out yet. But we've made those connections, and we're really interested to see what happens next.
Lots of possibilities. Andrew, I wish we had more time, but we've got to throw back to Aaron at the ship. Aaron?
Thanks, Angela. You seem to be having not quite as much fun as I am here at the pub, but hey, you know, transit is cool too. I just want to remind everyone who's out there on Facebook, you're listening to The Road Ahead. It's a Facebook Live special by CBC Calgary here, and we're going to be talking about what comes next for our city, and we are getting some feedback already from Facebook. We have some comments that are coming in. I want to get to one right now. I have one here. I wish I brought my reading glasses, but Christina Rose says the Saddle Dome could use a little facelift or a whole new stadium. So we got someone on George's side, I guess. Of course, the big question with the Saddle Dome and with any kind of change to that is who's going to pay? I don't think necessarily that's a question that's been resolved yet. And it's a political question, which is why many things that we're going to be talking about tonight is what's going to be happening politically. The political change that is in the air here in Calgary, in the municipally, federally, provincially. And what we're going to do right now is go to our political correspondent, our investigative reporter, Brian Labby, who's in a park somewhere, and he's going to be filling us in about all the change that's going on in politics. Brian.
Memorial Park, and I thought this is a great location because, you know, in a way it represents new and old Calgary. Obviously, this is the oldest park in the city. It's 128 years old. So much history here. The cenotaph is here. There's a remarkable statue paying tribute to the soldiers who fought in the Boer War. But it also reflects the new Calgary. There are several new shiny condo towers that are going up. More are on the way. Now, it represents the new Calgary in a sense, but what does that mean? Because I think for a lot of people, we're trying to figure out who we are and where we're going. You know, when you just look back at the last couple of years, in terms of what we've seen politically, there's been so much change and upheaval. Of course, the long-running PCs were given the boot, replaced by an NDP government. Calgary elected the first Muslim mayor in Canada. And of course, in October 2015, we sent 2 Liberal MPs to Ottawa, the first time that's happened in nearly 50 years. Now, someone who really personifies all of that change is Ricardo Miranda. He's a refugee from Nicaragua. He's openly gay, and he's a cabinet minister in the NDP government.
I've been told that it's the first of many, first Latin American person to be a minister openly out as well. And to me, it was just, I never set out to be the first of anything. I just wanted my community to be better, right? And I've always put myself out there to do what I needed to do. And my parents basically said to me, either you put your name on a ballot or you stop complaining about things. I have traveled and I have lived in different places around the world. I decided, to move and spend time in Rome and Paris, and this is where I picked up languages that I've learned to speak. And none of these places ever gave me the sense of being home. Like every time I came back to the city, it was coming home, right? And a sense of safety and yeah, it was just, I felt safe here, and this is the only place I've ever felt that. And I think it has to do with the fact that this was the first place that I came to, coming from a country with civil war, and it wasn't the best of experiences, I could say. But the community that I grew up in gave me all the tools I ever needed to succeed in the world. And there were people who said to me, there were going to be walls and barriers put in front of you. Don't ask permission, just go through them, right? And I was given permission to do that. We still have a population, for example, the trans community, who doesn't feel safe, who doesn't feel welcome, who doesn't. So we still have a lot of things to do there. Recently, we've seen some Islamophobia happen at the University of Calgary, my alma mater, and I was really distraught when I saw that, right? Because I remember going to the U of C and being the first place where I was like, yes, I can be who I am, and I don't have to hide. It's not high school anymore. It's great. Yeah. There was even an LGBTQ club in the university at the time, and so that was a great place, a great experience for me. And so to hear that was happening on campus was really disheartening, because it's almost as regressive, right? You're going back in time, and those kinds of things really bother me. The experiences I've had actually in this very coffee shop, I had a constituent of mine who wanted to meet with me, who did not vote for me, and he was quite open about that, And at the end of our conversation, he said, I don't think I'm still ready to tell you that I'm going to vote for you, but I am closer than I have ever been in my life. And I said, well, that's interesting. Like, tell me why. He's like, you've had the conversation. You took the time to sit down with me and have a conversation. And I think I said, and I'm sorry we haven't had the opportunity. And he said, when you had a telephone town hall, I heard your name and I heard the political party you represented, and I hung up the phone and I never gave you a chance. But I've given you a chance now, and now I'm interested to hear what you have to say. And so they went past the politics, they went past ethnicity, sexual identity, all those things, and get down to the human level. And when we have those discussions at the human level, I think everybody can agree that, we're trying to make things better for each other. So how do we do that? Let's figure it out. Let's talk about it.
So as Ricardo Miranda says, just sit down and have a conversation with someone in this so-called conservative heartland, someone who may have opposing views and values. He says, they could make a lot of headway. I wanted to just introduce myself. I'm Brian Labby, and I wanted to thank you for tuning in to the CBC Calgary Facebook page for this special live event. So, you might be wondering, well, what about the next generation of political leaders? What are they thinking? What are they thinking about the choices that we're looking at in 2019? I recently met up with a group of young political leaders at the University of Calgary. They had a few beers, and also they had a debate about the future.
It's going to be a referendum as to whether the policies of the NDP are working for the province in the minds of the people. And based on Notley's falling approval rating, I'd say that we're starting to render that decision early.
We can go back to the days of saying that Alberta is this fiscal beacon of opportunity when we never even ran a balanced budget more than once in the last 9 years of PC rule. Or we can go forward with a principled, centrist movement under Rachel Notley and Alberta's NDP to a balanced budget, good infrastructure, social policy that works for all Albertans, not just a small sect of Kenny's followers.
I think you can either have Rachel Notley or you can have the Alberta advantage, and that's the question people are going to be posed with. Once again, the NDP loves telling us how we're supposed to feel about things and what we should be outraged about today. And it just goes to show it's been the mantra of their government for the past 2 years and what feels like 200. And I think that a lot of Albertans right now, they may have ticked a box on the NDP, but right now they're ticking off days waiting for 2019 to roll around to get this government out of here.
The Alberta Liberal Party has definitely fallen on some hard times, but we're going to work to keep the government accountable. And we're not dead yet. We're still in there. We're working hard to represent the interests of our constituents. We're working hard to represent the interests of Albertans, and we're going to be in this for the long haul.
Well, I think think there's just a lot more life into Alberta politics ever since the PCs lost power. This showed many young Albertans that you can actually care about provincial politics and make a change. I think it's very interesting, it's very telling that Jason Kenney and his followers always say fiscal responsibility, because they can't talk about social issues, because they have such extremely social conservative issues. Jason Kenney himself is a noted anti-abortion activist, after all. He's been on the news about that for himself. This is a very disturbing thing. Perhaps, yes, as you've said, he's mellowed over the years, but the fact that he keeps such uncomfortable company that would say things like feminism is cancer, or that abortion is tantamount to evil, is just unthinkable. Is this who we want leading Alberta in 2019? Is this who we want representing our province on the world stage?
The whole movement that voted for Jason were very moderate. They're very centrist people, but they believe in Jason Kenney, and he's a hope for the future to beat the NDP in 2019 and get Alberta back on track.
And Wild Rose has been very clear that they will not tolerate hatred of any kind, and that includes the hatred of extremist elements of the far right. We've always been against hatred. In fact, we should be against more hatred from the left side when they talk about sewer rats in the legislature, and not unscripted, but as a scripted line from no less than the Deputy Premier herself.
And this isn't just an issue of uniting the right. This is an issue of uniting anyone who has values of fiscal responsibility. I think that, in any party, there's going to be the loud and vocal minority that holds certain views that don't necessarily represent those of the party. I think it's a matter of building a good infrastructure, of people who want what's best for the province and want to not necessarily push an agenda of one way too far or another, but more so, and I think what this whole coalition that we're trying to establish is about, is uniting people who want to build a better future and a better province for our generation and the generation after us.
I think for me personally, this is a very exciting time for me. A lot of our Wild Rose friends were past PCs, so it's kind of a big reunion. We're going to mend a few things together, and we're going to win the election in 2019.
I think it's quite sad, honestly, the PCs, a corrupt group of self-serving, out-of-touch elites thinking that they know better for Alberta than Albertans know. They say that we're an accidental government. Albertans did not accidentally check that NDP box. They went to the polls and said, I don't want these self-serving PCs. I don't want these ideological, out-of-touch Wild Rosers. I want a centrist government. And they elected one.
Certainly a lot of passion from those students, and it's really great to see how much they care about the city and the province's future. And there's no doubt that Melanie Thomas knows some of those young men and women. Melanie is assistant professor at the University of Calgary's Department of Political Science. It's so interesting when you look back to 2015, and the students alluded to this, that it was described as an accidental win for the NDP. Was it?
No, it really wasn't. And so I have to admit, as a lifelong Albertan, I was as surprised as I think many other Albertans were on election night. But as a political scientist, I know that there are a couple of things from research that help explain what happened in 2015. The first is that the economy matters, and the economy works in how people either punish or reward incumbents. And what voters usually look at is how they perceive the future economy. And if you remember, in the spring of 2015, the economy was okay, but it was anticipated to get very bad very quickly. This is bad for any incumbent government. The other thing that matters is Alberta is a populous place, and Rachel Notley managed to play up as a populist leader more than what the other leaders did, and she also ran a really excellent campaign. So this cues into leader evaluations. Voters really liked Rachel Notley. So the economy plus leader evaluations and Alberta's populism helps explain what happened. One of the things that's worth noting is that the NDP won every voter demographic under the age of 65, and they also were the first or second choice of voters of all political stripes. And so that's worth considering when people look at a potential merger. Between that and then also looking at how financing has been going and how the party has been able to while in government, win or get more donations than any of the other parties have. It suggests that there's some strength there.
So looking ahead to 2019 then, what's at stake? What are the choices that we face in that election?
So Alberta has a long electoral history of one-party dominance. We had it right from Confederation out of the gate until the Social Credit, until the PCs, and until 2015. One of the things, I usually don't like to get normative in my statements, but one of the things I think would be good for Alberta is the idea that we would have competitive multi-party democracy. Most of the time when we look at one-party dominance in elections, it usually isn't associated with things that we consider to be good for democracy or healthy indicators of a good democratic society. And so one of the things that Albertans one of the ways that you could look at the 2019 election is whether or not we want to have many parties that could compete for government, or if the electorate wants to go back to one-party dominance. My preference is strongly for multi-party competition, I have to admit.
Competition is a good thing.
Yes.
Melanie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Aaron, we're going to send it back to you. Obviously, it seems like a lot more people are getting engaged in the political process, and that can only mean better turnout possibly at the polls. So in that sense, things are looking up for 2019.
Thanks, Brian. That's some excellent and insightful stuff about what's happening in a very interesting time in Calgary politics, Alberta politics. And I want to say that just, we're doing a live Facebook. We don't know what's going to happen, but what we did find out is that we have City Councillor Evan Woolley right here. Hold on, we got to go to Angela right now. Angela, sorry, we're going to have to go right to Angela Knight. We'll see if we can come back to Evan Woolley. Angela Knight, moving on a train. Angela, are you there?
Are you guys watching it? Yeah? Oh, cute. We are doing a Facebook Live from the C train this afternoon. I'm all confused. I work the morning show. Joining me is Amanda Specht, who works with the City of Calgary. And we're on the C train, so it only makes sense that we be talking about the Green Line. And that is something you know a lot about, Amanda. That is one of your roles with the city, is working on the Green Line. It is such an enormous project. How does that make you feel to be working on something that's going to change the shape of the city?
It's such an exciting project, Angela. As you mentioned, it's something that is going to transform and shape the city, and that's something that's extremely exciting. So the Green Line itself is north to south. It's gonna double our system, actually, 46 kilometers. It touches over 30 communities, so it has a really big impact on the city and the communities that it touches, and not only that it brings, strengthening our social fabric within those communities, as well as connecting people. The ability to connect people, from north to south, connecting them to within their local community, but not only to, major destinations, places of employment, some of our great rec centers, our parks and our pathways. So that's the exciting part of it, is just the work knowing that it's going to be impactful.
And we talk a lot about moving people around the city, but you're right, it has to be about community and creating that sense of place. So when I step off at a C train station in Seton, what is it going to look like? And more importantly, how is it going to make me feel?
So we've done quite a bit of work on looking at public spaces and great public spaces, and that's something that is impactful to everyone, right? Whether you've traveled to other cities and or whether you're born and raised Calgarian, it's a great place. There's a sense of vibrancy, there's energy that it brings. You have a sense of belonging right away. So the minute that you get on the train or step off the train, it's those spaces that we want to make you feel like you want to walk into the community, or it's that sense of belonging. And I think that's the piece that's really the thing that we're focusing on, is making these great public spaces, as we also look at how that integrates into the community and what that does for people.
Are we taking our inspiration from some other places around the globe?
Yeah, we've looked at quite a few different cities along the way. I mean, Europe is a great example of transit systems that they've done really well, and great public spaces. We've looked at Ireland is a really good example. They've done some affordable lifestyles. And so it's something that we'll look at doing as well. It's about choices, creating choices for people is a big thing that we're looking at. And then the connectivity piece, right? How you connect people, not only with the train, but again, their community. So how you connect them to, some of our great park space, creating healthier environments for people, and interaction with their neighbors and those sorts of things. So that's the piece that we draw inspiration from other cities.
Now, we are live on Facebook tonight. We're on the C train line just because we wanted to broadcast from the C train line. And Patrick in the control room, I can't hear you anymore. So when you want me to wrap, you're going to have to let Jordan, our camera guy, know. But Amanda, this is such a huge, huge project. Are there moments, you're making so many decisions for people in the future. Do you have moments where you just go to bed at night and think, what am I going to do?
You know what? I work with a great team of people. Very talented group of people, and so I think that makes things a lot easier. The decisions that we're making are impactful, but we can start to look at the things that we've done well in the past as a city, and again, just going back to the people, the human element, right? And I think that's something that you draw inspiration from, and it's not always easy, for sure, but knowing that things are that you're making an impact, I think that is something that's great.
All right, Amanda, thank you so much for being Thursday night and joining us on the C train line to talk about the Green Line. We're making our way down to the Ship and Anchor because I understand that Aaron will be buying if we can get there before the end of the show. But I understand Kyle Bax is ready and waiting. Kyle?
Well, thanks a lot, Angela. We're here atop the Calgary Tower amongst the headquarters of the Canadian oil industry. No, without a doubt, the downturn in oil prices and the industry has had a profound effect on our city. One person who has a lot of opinions about the oil industry and its future for our city is Brett Wilson, the former Dragon's Den star and prominent Calgary businessman. We'll get to him in just a moment, but first I want to share a story about two laid-off oil patch workers. They've moved on from the oil patch, but we really wanted to know if the industry gets back on its feet, whether they'll return to the oil patch or not. From 7 in the morning to 7 at night, Dallas Guerra cuts and grinds in his garage. Woodworking is now his business, after nearly 25 years in Alberta's oil patch. His first job at the age of 14, spending summers at remote sites throughout the province. After graduating from university, he moved into the corporate towers as a geophysicist. The career ended 1 year ago. The oil price crash meant deep cuts, and he was a casualty.
It was pretty shocking, I guess. I mean, because I'd never been laid off before. The day after I was laid off, I came into my shop and started working. So it was like I could hit the ground running almost immediately.
His weekend hobby transformed into his full-time job. It hasn't been easy. Long hours trying to carve together a successful business from a passion he wears on his sleeve.
Oil and gas is tough because there's no jobs. Woodworking is hard because you have to market yourself, and it's a daily challenge.
His style is unique. Everything has a shape and a flow. No wonder one of his chairs sits in a gallery as a piece of art. Jennifer Gwen has a similar story. Laid off 12 months ago from an oil patch office job, she also turned a project on the side into a business. Gwen makes her own collection of oils, at first sold in markets, now filling online orders and finding quite a bit of success.
After the couple months of with the layoff and all that, I just put my brain in gear and just got moving. And then I really focused on the deadline of summer and spring farmers markets and getting it out that way and just seeing how that all would unfold. And the response was fantastic.
She loved her oil patch job, but wouldn't go back. Life as an entrepreneur is just too energizing.
I've been so blessed. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. Like every day, I'm so happy.
When the oil patch returns to its glory years, it's difficult to predict. Oil prices remain sluggish and stubborn. Even companies that are hiring are finding laid-off workers have lost faith in the industry. This downturn has been too tough.
We've had some employees, just leave the industry and say, look, I've got a young family. I can't handle the cyclical nature of the business. I need to know I've got a more stable job. And we respect that.
For Guerra, as much as he loves woodworking, he's put one foot back into the oil business. He recently accepted a temporary contract.
I took it because I like the company, I like the people, I love geophysics, it's fun. I took a year, built the business, and now I feel like I'm at a point where I can balance the two, so yeah, it's nice.
He may one day resume his career full-time in the patch. He's undecided. If there's another boom, he'll have to gauge his woodworking business and his place in life and figure out what makes the most sense, resuming his career in the corporate towers or keep crafting new creations in his shop. Now, if you're a former oil patch worker, we'd like to hear your story. You can leave it in the comments below. Now, this city likes to tout its entrepreneurial spirit. Even in this downturn over the last few years, many businesses have had to close, but just as many new businesses have opened their doors. To find out why.
When it came to us starting up our own company, I can't say that we weren't worried about where we were going to be. We already knew the risks involved and what we were potentially facing.
While times are tough, and they certainly are, people, Calgarians, Albertans are really resilient. You're looking at the economical climate in Calgary right now. It is really starting to bounce back. There's new cafes, there's new restaurants, there's new businesses popping up almost daily. And I think Alberta will be built on the backs of entrepreneurs.
Launching a new product is always a concern, is a big challenge, and having a premium product makes it even harder. People are more cautious now about spending on their dollars. So yes, you will have a bigger challenge, but of course, any time that you have a value proposition and you have a good product to offer, people always at all times they appreciate that.
I really can't complain. I think with the downturn is I knew that Calgary wasn't going to be maybe the be-all and end-all of where I could have the product. So it kind of forced me to reach out and think, okay, Alberta's not doing great. Let's look at some other retail avenues. And then that forced me to really look nationally, and that was a good choice for me. Started off selling in Calgary, but now I'm in about 65 stores across Canada and selling in every province and working towards getting in more and more stores as time goes on.
Now, that enthusiasm isn't necessarily shared by Brett Wilson, the former Dragon's Den star and entrepreneur. We went for a drive to discuss the future of the oil patch and all this talk about diversification. But first, we took a drive down 17th Avenue, the Red Mile, and I asked him about whether he feels like the mood has improved in those restaurants and bars since oil prices hit rock bottom.
Oh, dramatically. I'm involved with a couple of Irish pubs in town, and our top line revenue this year over 2 years ago was virtually double. And now that's a lot of drinking on one day, but it's an indicator of the activity level that people are getting out and enjoying the city. As we drive along 17th Avenue here, this place is packed. We're middle of the afternoon and all the outdoor patios are busy. There's people walking the streets. This is not a ghost town. The Monty Python line, we're not dead yet. There's a building I just sold and it's up for release. I mean, there's activity going on all over the place, and so to think that we've shut her down is wrong. There's a bit of anticipation. There's a bit of apprehension. You know, the business community, which is, call it the engine of growth in terms of especially the oil and gas industry, has seen oil prices recover, has pulled their operating costs down dramatically, and it's, for some companies, it's game on. Again, we're back in the business of exploring for and spending capital. And it's the spending of capital that's more valuable to Calgary than, if you will, the cash flow that comes from higher oil prices. It's until we actually start spending money and have the rigs working, have the engineers working, have the completions, the tie-ins, the pipelines, the gathering system, the marketing teams, all of those things have to be engaged and active to put our economy back on track. So I would say there's people that are cautiously optimistic, hopeful. There's a better sense and a belief that we can run the business. There's reason for optimism, but there's also reason for concern.
So even with all the talk of diversification, it still has to be oil prices going up and getting pipelines built for the economy to bounce back.
Well, absolutely. And I fear the word of diversification. I've always been opposed to it in the context that, to me, when I hear economic diversification, when I hear those words, I think government intervention, government picking winners and losers. And I don't want that. I want the free market to make those decisions because they're a lot more efficient at allocating capital in the entrepreneurial spirit. Now, I think there's an awful lot that can happen in the context of expanding our economy rather than diversifying our economy. And I think so often when I hear diversification, I hear people wanting to be Silicon Valley North. Well, hogwash. That's not going to happen. Not by design. It may happen inadvertently. It might happen organically. To create organic growth, you have to have an environment, and that's what I'm pushing for constantly, whether it's in the municipal level or the provincial level or the federal level. I want an environment where entrepreneurial thinking and business leadership has relevance. Entrepreneurial thinking creates jobs.
So Brett Wilson makes it pretty clear he feels that the oil industry is key for the city to get back on its feet. Now we're going to go back to Aaron Collins at the Ship and Anchor.
Thanks, Kyle. Always good to hear from some of the more... Thanks, Kyle. It's always good to hear from one of Calgary's biggest business leaders about what's coming ahead for business in this city. And I want to remind everyone that if you're watching this on Facebook, you're watching a CBC Calgary Facebook Live special, The Road Ahead. And one of the cool things about a Facebook Live is that there's interactivity, and we're getting comments from the people that are watching this. And I have a comment right now, so let me get to that just real quick. This is from Sohaib Ahmed, and he says, of course Calgary is going on the right path. It's time to move towards green energy, getting off oil-dependent economy, and aiming to be a future Silicon Valley. It's the best Calgary can get. So a little bit of a different take than Mr. Wilson, but one of the great things about Calgary and one of the great things about the Ship and Anchor is you're going to get a diverse group of people having diverse conversations like we are tonight. I want to continue talking a little bit about business with one of the most interesting business operators in the city of Calgary. I noticed her sitting over here at the bar. It's Jessie Lee from Park. Now, Park is... Hi, Jessie. How's it going? Good to see you. Maybe we'll start off. Why don't you explain what Park is for people that don't know? I mean, we know it's about artists. We know it's about... helping them out. But why don't you give us the elevator pitch for what Park is?
Absolutely. So Park stands for Promoting Artists Redefining Culture, and it is a locally run organization that's primarily run by volunteers here in Calgary. And our mandate is to provide artists and designers with platforms to showcase and sell their work. We do this through various major events. So two of the ones that are more well known are Park Show and Park Lux, which are major fashion shows that are attended by over 1,500 people in the city, as well as Park Forum, which is a mentorship and an educational series that is hosted for creative entrepreneurs.
Now, you're from Calgary, right?
Yes, I am from Calgary.
Now, I'm going to guess that unlike George, this isn't your first time in the ship.
I've definitely been here before.
Good. So I want to talk about what you like about Calgary, because you're a successful person. You've got a good background. You could do whatever you want. You could live wherever you wanted. What keeps you here? What do you love about Calgary?
I love the young, vibrant energy. I love that this is a city that is able to and so willing to support creative entrepreneurs, that is so interested in arts and culture. I also love that this isn't Toronto. I've grown up with this mentality that if you wanted to make it big as an artist, you had to move to Toronto and you had to move to New York. And what I've learned is that we actually have a lot of opportunities right here in the city, and when we don't move to a big city like that, there isn't as much competition, and so artists and designers have an opportunity to really hone their skills and actually create a sustainable living and career right here in the city.
Become a little bit of a bigger fish in a somewhat smaller pond.
Yes, yes.
So okay, that's your favorite thing about Calgary, but I mean, you must have a pet peeve if you've grown up here. So if you would change something about Calgary, if there's something that you wish was a little different, what would that be?
I would definitely say that I felt this recently 2 or 3 days ago at an event. Young people are still growing up and feeling like that they need to move to succeed. And I just wish that Calgarians had more pride in the fact that you can really do what you want and you can make it your own in this city. And I really just want to teach the young people that you can create your own opportunities here.
You don't want anyone to leave?
I don't want anyone to leave. I want to keep the talent in the city because the talent is what makes it such a great and interesting place to live in. And the more diversity and talent and the more creative people we have in the city, the better it will be.
All right, so you're a doer, but if you had a magic wand or a magic lantern, you could have one thing today before we left this pub happen in this pub or in this city. What would it be? What would you want for Calgary if you could have anything right away?
I would love to see a lot more multi-use spaces for small businesses and creative entrepreneurs, venues for artists, and places just for people to have an opportunity to showcase their work.
Thanks very much. Can you stick around for a bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll talk to you later. Go join us at our table, okay? Thanks very much. Another amazing person to talk to at the Ship and Anchor. We're going to get back to talking a little bit more to Jessie Lee. And in the meantime, we're going to check in on Angela and see if she's going to get here in time to take me up on my offer to pick up the bar tab. Ange, how are you doing?
Trust me, Aaron, that is my motivation. Our whole team here is motivated to get to the Ship and Anchor. We're close. This is Facebook Live. We're taking your questions and comments. So if you see or hear something you want to comment on, please let us know. We are making our way to the Ship and Anchor. Sean Summers is with the City of Calgary, and we actually just arrived at Victoria Park Station. We were on the C train. Now we're going to walk over to the Ship and Anchor. But Sean, we did have a question from someone on Facebook who was asking a question about transit, and it's from Tammy, who writes, the transit here is so downtown focused, it's quite difficult to get to other spots.
Yeah, so when the City of Calgary was planned in terms of transit, let's say 40 years ago, downtown was very much the hub, and that's where the majority of people worked. If you imagine sort of a hub in the middle, all the spokes lead to downtown. What we're doing all over the city, and that's why we're trying to make that in connectivity with things like the BRT lines, for instance, which instead of everything being out and focused into the middle, we then have cross connection with other lines.
Now, of course, you can only plan with the information you have at the time, right? So how have things changed now for city planners when we're looking ahead 20, 30 years, the road ahead for Calgary?
Well, that's the challenge, and that's in part why we're sort of in the pickle we're in today with some of our roads. So Calgary grew exponentially over the last 40, 50 years. For instance, when Deerfoot Trail was designed and built, there was probably 70,000 vehicles a day using Deerfoot Trail. Today, at its busiest section, there's probably 180,000 vehicles a day using those areas. So the challenge is how can you look ahead and predict what things are going to be like in terms of population, what are the needs in terms of transit? What are the needs in terms of the roadway? So as the transportation department, we have folks that are planners and look at all that stuff and do their best to try and anticipate what we need down the road.
All right, let's talk about some other roadways, some big projects coming up, and some changes we might see as Calgarians.
For sure. So I just mentioned Deerfoot Trail. We're looking into that. Obviously, that's a bone of contention for many folks in Calgary.
Yes.
Like I say, there's some 180,000 people that use that roadway every single day. It's a problem. We need to be able to get traffic moving in and out there better. So we're studying Deerfoot Trail, working with the province, and doing what we can to try and free that up.
My last question to you, Sean. My hair's blowing everywhere. Why is yours not moving at all?
Hairspray.
The best hair, the best hair I've ever seen. We're going to throw back to you, Aaron, at the ship, and we're going to see you soon. So get ready to open that wallet. It might take some time to pry it open, I think.
Thanks, Ange. That's great. Now, I want to remind everyone that you are watching a CBC Calgary special, a Facebook Live special.
Thank you.
Called Calgary, the Road Ahead. And, of course, the great thing about a Facebook Live special is that we get to take interaction. We get to have interaction with the people that are watching. We get to take comments. And we have a comment right now. You can keep those comments coming, but we have a comment right now. And this one is from Mike Forzani. Well, there's a Calgary name with some history. I'd like to see the federal government step up for its skilled workers when times get tough. Outsourcing was horrible when the downturn came. Okay, a lot of the comments tonight focusing on economics, which I think is understandable given the state of the city right now. But what I want to do is talk a little bit more about culture in this city and music. And a lot of people, of course, would come to the Ship and Anchor to listen to music and to catch a band. Anywhere on the 17th Avenue could be used for that. But the kind of music that Calgarians have been listening to might be changing. And we went out and looked at one particular block in the city that has featured a lot of cowboy music in the past and maybe a different kind of music now. And we want to take a look at that right now. Control, can you roll that tape?
I take a lot of pride in my city and in my country and the Western heritage roots that are here. And, you know, like being from Calgary and wearing this cowboy hat, you know, it almost doesn't feel like you're wearing anything because it's such a part of you. It's such a strong part of the culture here, you know. To be a part of a world-class organization like the Stampede, it's truly an amazing feeling, you know. I love performing in front of people, you know, like especially during Stampede week, you know, we're performing like 6 times a day maybe, and you know, it's just being out there and seeing the crowd's reaction and seeing the look on their faces of the product that you're giving out to them, and you can tell that they're enjoying it. It's such an amazing feeling.
And you got me like, oh, what you want from me? And I tried to buy you pretty hard, but the price too high. Baby, you got me like, oh.
The Young Canadians is a school of performing arts, and it's just a bunch of youth from all over Calgary that come to learn how to sing, dance, and act. The Young Canadians is a big part of the Calgary Stampede, and we are all just super into the country vibe and the country music and stuff, and so the Calgary Stampede is super important to Calgary.
Don't quit loving me, just stop loving me. Oh, and babe, I'm fist fine with fire just to get close to you. Can we burn some, babe? And I'll run for miles just to get a taste.
That cowboy stereotype doesn't really exist, I don't think, within the music world, or like, because it runs much deeper and there's so many other genres and cultural influences than what is talked about on the surface like that, for sure. I don't have cowboy boots or a cowboy hat. No, that's the stereotype that comes with like locking into, or like trying to lock into some kind of theme which is more for tourism.
Yeah.
Like on the East Coast, it's like fishermen and the ships and the boats, right? And here it's the cowboys, but there's always something underneath it. There's definitely like an interesting undercurrent here.
So we are here on the ship's patio, and we are continuing with our The Road Ahead, Calgary, The Road Ahead, a CBC Great Calgary Facebook Live special, and we have breaking news. I didn't know if I'd be breaking any news tonight, but the breaking news is Brian Labby is the first reporter to the bar, which means Brian does not have to pick up the tab tonight. There's still, look, it still might not be me. Go ahead, head in on there. You've done your
Angela
work for
has
tonight.
to pay, as long as it's clear.
I think Angela's behind. Now, we're talking music. We just saw that piece about the change in the music that we're seeing in this city. And if you're talking culture in this city, one person that you have to talk to is this man, Mike Morrison of Mike's Bloggity Blog. How are you, sir?
I'm really good. I'm at the ship patio. This is amazing.
Well, it's a great place to be. Are you enjoying yourself tonight?
It's really good. I'm watching George enjoy his first trip to the Ship and Anchor, and that's been a treat.
Is this your first trip to the Ship and Anchor?
Not my first trip today.
Yeah.
No.
So I've been asking all of our guests tonight what their favorite thing is about Calgary. So, you know, you're a well-known Calgarian. You kind of rule Twitter in this city. What is your favorite thing about Calgary?
Yeah, I think I'm like a lot of Calgarians. I'm not from here. I moved here looking for work. I moved here looking for opportunities. I'm from New Brunswick. I moved here 11 years ago, and this city just welcomed me with open arms. And I'm not unique. Everyone I know has been welcomed with open arms. I've always said Calgary gives everyone a shot. So you have an idea, you have a chance, you have a job you want to create, entrepreneurs. You can do that in Calgary. I mean, I believe it because I've seen it.
Well, you're allowed, because you're from somewhere else, but because you've been here for a while, you're allowed to also see something that you'd like to change here. I mean, you came from somewhere else. Obviously, there's going to be things that you don't like. So, what would be something that should be tweaked in this city? What's something that moving forward we should change?
Yeah, I mean, I've probably added to the problem in a way because so many of us have moved here. I mean, over the last 12 years, we've just, in 15, 20 years, whatever, we've moved here. And so Calgary's grown so quickly. And sometimes I feel like we're not connected as much as I think when I go to Toronto or Montreal or Vancouver, how sort of the neighborhoods bleed into each other. Here it feels like, we're all sort of sectioned in our own categories. Hearing people who've never been to 17th Ave or have never been downtown to the core or never been to International Ave, that's a very common statement.
Great food there.
It's amazing food there, and I don't even go there enough. But it's because the city is so big. I think the stat is Calgary is like the second largest city for area in North America. Calgary's giant. Even Seton and all those areas are really interesting, but it's so far that I sort of wish we could sort of stop where we are now and just keep working on building the communities. I wish it was easier to walk places and bike places. It's getting so great to bike places, but yeah.
All right, so if you were omnipotent, I mean, that's something that you'd like to change, but if you had all the power in the world somehow, maybe it'll happen. You never know.
Yeah.
What would you do, just like that, if you could change one thing in this city?
I think I would make transit system be done.
Fast forward,
just get it done, get the bike lanes in, because that's where Calgary's doing a really great job. We are moving forward quickly, but all of that stuff takes time, and I just want us to get there now, because I think when people see it, they're going to love it. When all that stuff is done, it's going to be amazing. And I actually have a lot of faith in Calgary's planners and engineers and things like that. We love the city because we love it, right? So I have faith that so I wish we could just fast forward and then Calgary was that city that we all...
Can you do that? Is that something you could do?
No,
that would be amazing.
No, my cell phone's dead. It's done. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Would you stick around?
I'm here. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Join us at our table. We're going to have a drink. We're going to talk about the future of Calgary moving forward. Thanks very much, Mike. We're going to talk to you in a second. Okay, all right. This is The Road Ahead, CBC Calgary Facebook Live special, and we're doing crazy things like taking comments from anyone who wants to comment on what we're doing tonight. And we have a comment right now. I'm going to go to the magic cell phone, and this one is from Brian Kitagawa. And he says, you keep talent in the city by giving them real opportunities to use their valuable experience and skills in a different work environment. That unfortunately doesn't happen in many cases, especially with the bias that non-oil and gas businesses have with energy workers. So thanks very much for that comment, Brian. Obviously, we're getting a lot of comments about the economy in this city and about what is coming forward. And that's why we're having this discussion tonight, the road ahead. What is the road ahead? And we just heard from Mike Morrison of Mike's Bloggity Blog, who moved here from New Brunswick, started a whole new life for himself. And starting a new life for yourself is not something that only Mike has done. It's something that most Calgarians have done. Many, many, many Calgarians have come here to start a new life. We went out on the street and we talked to a few new Calgarians, and we asked them some of the same questions we're asking people tonight. Control, do we have the tape of those new Calgarians?
Calgary is that perfect blend of urban and nature. It's a bustling city, and it's a growing city, very dynamic. Not just oil and gas. There's a great restaurant scene. It's sunny. I didn't know what the vibe would be, but definitely perception would be it's cowboys and country music. And yes, I've seen that. But I've also seen a vibrant music scene. I've seen an art scene. There's something unique to Calgary because of the mountains that are around here and just the outdoorsy nature and culture that is unique to Calgary. And so what makes it interesting is as the city continues to grow, how does it really sort of integrate that culture into city life? Pet peeve, parking. I would love more parking. Now, keep in mind, I'm also coming from Toronto, so we have parking issues there as well. But definitely would love more parking, free parking, accessible parking.
I really love to skate. It's one of my favorites. And one of my dreams that came true when I came to Canada.
What are some of your favorite things about Calgary?
First of all, people who are very friendly, always helpful and smiling, and no stress.
What could be better here?
I don't know, maybe more opportunities for immigrants to Canada. I'm talking about job, of course. It's a huge challenge now for new immigrants to Calgary to find a workplace.
In 20 years, they say that 2/3 of Calgary will either be immigrants or the sons and daughters of immigrants. Is that a good thing?
Yes, I think I'm an immigrant. And my kids are going to grow up here. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. And all the people who come to Canada, they come in order to contribute to this country.
There are so many different people from so many different countries here. I think it's a good thing because now we are in an open world and we cannot forget about that. And I would say that having our children emerge in such kind of environment, it's really good opportunity for them to learn about all the stuff all around the world on a concentrated place, I would say. So it's really good because you can, I would say, travel all around the world in one city, Calgary. For the time being, the only thing maybe should be interesting for us is having more cultural events. Because we have so many people from different countries, it's really interesting to also have some, I would say, support from the city or from I don't know which who could try to facilitate this kind of sharing about the culture and I don't know. So maybe it could be interesting to have a more accessibility to that.
You're watching The Road Ahead, a CBC Calgary Facebook Live special, and we're heading into the home stretch here, but we have been getting a lot of interaction with you out there on Facebook, and we weren't sure we would, so I guess the first stage of our experiment has been a success. We want to go to one more comment as we're kind of getting close to the end of the show, and coming out of Mike Morrison's segment, it only makes sense to talk a little bit about the arts. We have one more here. This one's from Quinn, MCS. As a photographer, I think Calgary has a great art scene in this great city. Well, I can tell you that Quinn, Jesse Lee would definitely say, don't leave then. We want you to stay here. And speaking of staying here and seeing people here, I've run into someone from the CBC that I wasn't sure I would see here tonight. Dan McGarvey's here at the Ship and Anchor. How's it going, Dan?
Good, Aaron. How are you?
Good. Now, I thought you were going to bring some people tonight.
But they're set over there, Marlene.
Are they set up for the skateboarding? Where are they? I can't see them.
She is at that table over there. They're crowded around watching the broadcast. So.
Now, Marlene is someone that you met. She's an interesting member of our community. Tell me a little bit about Marlene.
That's right. We're talking a lot about community, and one of those communities is the skateboarding community. There's a lot of work going on in that in Calgary, lots of new skate parks, and Marlene is at the center of all this now. She's become part of this community, and we went down to one of the skate parks in Calgary. We had a chat to Marlene about this, made a little piece on the iPhone. You can watch it right now.
Let's have a look at it.
Marlene Helamer sweeps out the bowl at Huntington Hills Skate Park, keeping things clean and safe for other riders. At 54 years old, she's become an unlikely organizer in Calgary's skateboarding community, from using social media to arrange snow clearing meetups to encouraging and inspiring more women to get involved, pull on the pads and build up the confidence to drop in.
I'm kind of like the grandma around this place, or the favorite auntie maybe. Skateboarding is so good because it doesn't matter what your abilities are, it's still fun, and people still celebrate your accomplishments, even if there's something small. And when I leave the skate park, I'm smiling for hours and I'm happy, and if I don't skateboard, I get grumpy and I need to do it.
And that passion hasn't been chilled by Calgary winters, where many admit defeat and take a break. Helamer rallies skaters to get shoveling instead.
You know, sometimes I picked kids up from their houses, brought shovels, whatever it takes. Get some of these young guys here that are skating every day and motivate them to clean up the park, and so we can all get skating again.
It's a good time to be skating in Calgary. The city's invested in several new skate parks, with more on the way this year. But Helamer says it's up to the skate community to look after them.
But if we all kind of take ownership of these parks, we're going to keep them viable, and you know, the city will be happy and they'll make more skate parks for us. And if it takes someone like me to be an example, I will.
Helamer says there's never been a better time to get into skateboarding, and that it's never too late in life to start.
You're never too old to skateboard. Hey, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
If you're seeing a look of utter defeat on my face, it may be because Angela Knight has shown up at the Ship and Anchor, meaning there is an outside chance that I may have to touch my wallet after this special is over, which is, you moved fast.
We didn't move fast enough. I don't know why I thought we would walk from the Vic Park station. What was I thinking? But we moved it.
I thought you would have been on like a, driverless car or something.
Well, about halfway here, I was like, where's an Uber? I need an Uber or a cab, but we couldn't find one.
And wasn't she on the eye opener at 6 o'clock this morning?
Yes.
You look pretty good for 14 hours.
Pretty good.
She looks amazing, George. Angela Knight's the hardest working person in show business or news or whatever we're doing tonight. Listen, guys, we're getting close to the end of this. I want to do a wrap. So have a seat. Don't stand there. Go ahead, pull up a chair. Oh, get another chair then. I mean, we're hanging out at the Ship and Anchor. We can make room.
There's always room at the Ship and Anchor.
There's always room at the Ship and Anchor. I'm going to go around in order. I'm going to start with Mike. Mike, go ahead and tell me what you think about what we've done here tonight and what you think about the road forward road ahead holds for Calgary. I mean, what does this place look like in 40 years?
Well, the Ship and Anchor will look the same in 40 years, but I think tonight is actually symbolic of Calgary. As far as I know, I've never seen anything like tonight, this show on the internet, a live show all across the city, and that to me sort of is very symbolic of Calgary. We're always thinking ahead. It always feels like we're combating Toronto and Vancouver, and we constantly prove ourselves that we're worthy to be in that same category, and I think you did an awesome job tonight. I can't wait to go home and watch it.
So taking insane risks is a very Calgarian thing to do, I guess. That's what we've done tonight.
But it is an insane risk, but also we've seen that thousands of people have watched tonight. And so we've seen that we can take insane risks, but also that Calgarians will jump off that bridge with us.
And they'll pick us up when we fall, right?
Exactly.
Right? Okay. What about you, Jesse? What do you think? Where are we going to be in 40 or 50 years?
definitely more vibrant and more diverse, and a city that people will be looking towards and seeing as a leader in arts, in culture, in sport, and in community.
Hey, Angela, you've been on the C train all night. You've been talking about driverless cars. You are a traffic and weather reporter. I want to know from you, will more people be taking trains or driverless cars in 50 years?
I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing to see if people will embrace that technology. I hope they don't until I've retired, because that will put me out of work really, really quickly. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. But I think what we know is that we're willing to try, just like everyone else was saying, and that it's up to us what it's going to be. And I think the big thing is, whatever we do, our community is going to be stronger for it, because that's the one thing we're all thinking about going into this, is not just about transportation, but it's about the people and how they're going to live in this city and actually have amazing quality of life.
Is there any chance that we can get a driverless car after I pay this bar tab tonight? Because we might need one.
That might be an excellent idea. Excellent idea.
All right, Mr. Calgary.
Yes, sir.
Where are we going to be in 40 or 50 years? I know you're still going to be here.
I know where I'm going to be. I know where I'm going to be in 50 years, and I'm going to be looking down on all you folks saying, good luck with all that. But I'll tell you what I'm going to say as my closing remark. We have been a can-do city since the day we were born. We're turning into a can't-do city, and I want us to turn that around. This is a city of energy, of attitude, of people who can make things happen. We have the greatest oil industry in the world. We have to get back on our horses and ride out of here full gallop. That's the way we got to be.
Applause over there. You can applaud. That's great. Now, these are folks I haven't met. Are these Angela's riders? Is it? Amanda, hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And you are Andrew?
Sean.
Sean. Great. Okay. Now, real quick, guys. What is the city? Where do you see the city in 50 years? I mean, what's it going to look like?
It's going to have the green line, that's for sure. No, but I'm a born and raised Calgarian, and I'm really excited to look at where we've been and where we're headed. And the cities, there's so much vibrancy in the last 5 years, and I see that growing and continuing, and a lot of diversity coming into our city, diverse economy. I think we're just going to continue to grow and attract a lot of talent and a lot of people, more so than we already have. So it's exciting.
The positivity never ceases to amaze me in this city. Let's keep going. 40 years from now, where are we?
So I'm the technology guy, so I'll talk a bit about that. So we're not sure what exact technologies are going to be here in a little bit, but there's a few major trends that are occurring. Automation, computers are getting better. That'll lead to things like driverless cars and aerial delivery drones. You have electrification. This means more things like electric bikes and electric vehicles. You have a more connected world. 30 years ago, it was only desktop computers that were connected to the internet. Now you have phones, you have watches. This will be a really interesting world with everything being connected. And then you have the concept of shared mobility. So as we were talking about having Ubers and different services like that, that give us an alternative of just owning a vehicle.
We're able to do Facebook/television specials with our phones. Look at this rig. Okay, one more. That's great stuff.
Yeah, so wearing my transportation hat, I think in 40 years, I'm hoping for, Angela will appreciate this, a Deerfoot Trail that runs better, Crowchild Trail that's free flow traffic, and interconnectivity for whatever mode you want to choose, whether you're a cyclist, whether you're a driver, whether you're a pedestrian or want to drive, you have the best options. It's going to be here in Calgary.
That's terrific, guys. I want to thank everybody for taking part in this really insane experiment that we put on tonight.
We did it.
I think we did it. I don't know. They haven't told me yet. They won't tell me till it's over. But it's been a lot of fun, and you guys, I think, have contributed to a good conversation about where this city is going. And I think, like most bar conversations, while we may not have solved all the problems of the world, maybe, watch me tie it back in, maybe we have a little better idea of what the road ahead looks like.
Cheers.
Right. Now let's get a few. Now I was told that Calgary's a Scottish name, right? So I was told we were going to maybe have some pipers here. Are there bagpipes? Do you have bagpipes here? Okay, so this is.
Oh.
Yes.
So Sean joined us tonight. He gave up his band practice. Sean is the pipe major for the Rocky Mountain Pipe Band, and he had to get someone else to take over the rehearsal tonight. So we have to give him a chance to blow the pipes.
I just see my bar bill getting bigger. Are we ready? We're gonna get out here tonight? Okay, so that's it for our CBC Calgary special, The Road Ahead. This is good night from us, from the Ship and Anchor. Wow, that was amazing. Okay, good night, Facebook. We're done.